Hi, it's me, Cheryl, from Storyvalues, where we travel the world through stories and our imaginations. Let's begin with a welcome song. Hello, I'm so glad you're here for the storyteller's journey. Hello, I'm so glad you're here to join me for a story. My name's Cheryl. Hi, I'm glad to see you. Hello, I'm so glad you're here to join me for a story. What's your name? Can you say your name? Wonderful, I'm so glad you're here. Hello, I'm so glad you're here for the storyteller's journey. Excellent. That's our welcome song, and I welcome you to our story time. Story bag. Inside are stories from all over the world. To find out which story we'll listen to, we'll say the story bag poem on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Story bag, what have you to say? Story bag, what's in you today? Oh, we have a wooden bowl. This is a story called The Brownie. Now, it's not the kind of delicious chocolatey brownie we like to eat. The brownie in this story is a magical elf. This story is inspired by 2 stories from Scotland. In the story, a magical creature called a brownie helps a family. Now, I wonder if you have ever wished that you had someone to help with your chores in your home. Help with the housework and the house chores. This is a story about a magical creature that does just that. In fact, you might be able to have a magical creature in your house too. Story ears open, story mouths quiet, story buckles buckle, and let us begin. Once upon a time, long, long ago in Scotland, there lived a family, a mother and a father and their 3 children. Annabelle was the oldest daughter, then there was Bonnie, the middle daughter, and Drew, the little boy who was 3 years old. Their grandmother also lived with them. The mother and father were shepherds, so they kept sheep, and they worked very, very hard. The grandmother was old, and she took the wool from the sheep and spun it into fine thread. Then she would weave the thread into fine fabrics. Now the children were strong, but they were kind of lazy. They didn't like to do their chores. Their mother and father and grandmother would say, "We need your help. We're all busy. We need you to help sweep the floor and put away your toys and put away your clothes. We need you to help bring in the wood so we could build a fire in the fireplace. And we need you to get water from the well." Now in those days, they didn't have electricity, so they couldn't warm their houses with a furnace. They had to warm their house with the fire in the fireplace. And they didn't have water that would come in the house with a faucet. They had to bring the water in a bucket from the well. And the parents would always say, "We need you to help." But the children didn't like to help. Now one day the grandmother, who was a very wise woman and a very good storyteller, said, "You know what we need in this house? We need a brownie." And the children said, "Oh, Grandma, what is a brownie?" And their grandmother said, "A brownie is an elf-like creature who loves to work. In fact, a brownie loves to do housework. They love to bring in the firewood and the water from the well. They love to sweep and clean and put things away. They love to be helpful." And the children said, "Grandma, can we have a brownie? Can you tell us about the brownies?" And she said, "Well, when I was a little girl, I heard of a brownie who lived in this village, but then the brownie vanished, and they asked, Why? Why did the brownie go away? She said, I'll tell you the story, and then I'll tell you how you can find a brownie too. She said, long ago when I was a little girl, a tiny little brownie came to our town saying he wanted to work. Now, brownies love to work, but they don't want to be paid. They don't even like people to know that they have done the work. They like to work in secret, in private, and they like, the best thing of all is to be helpful for others. Now, a brownie will say, I can help, and they can do anything. The only thing that they like is to be left alone and to be loved. Now, when this brownie came into the village, the brownie said, I would like to work. And they said, what would you like as pay? And the brownie said, I don't want any pay. The only thing I'd like you to do is fill my bowl with oatmeal every night so I can have something to eat. And I would like to be able to live in a barn so I can sleep in the hay. So the people of the village said, yes, you can live in this barn and we will always give you oatmeal in your bowl. And from then on, the brownie helped everyone in the village. If a sheep was lost, the brownie could find it just like that. If a young child was not feeling well, the brownie would sit by the child's bed and sing to them. If a family needed to have help bringing in the corn crop, the brownie could do it in a half an instant. Everyone was so grateful to have the brownie. And the brownie said, the only thing you must remember is I don't want to be paid because that would hurt my feelings. I just want to be loved. All was well, and the village was so happy having the brownie. But then one day, someone made a mistake. They said, I don't think it's right for this brownie not to get paid. And I've noticed that the brownie is not wearing very nice clothes, so I'm going to give the brownie some new clothes. And they made a little outfit for the brownie, and they put it by his bed, and they put it by his bowl where he had his oatmeal. But when the brownie saw that they had paid him, he was so sad, he vanished just like that. And the villagers said, why can't we have the brownie back? And everyone said, because we did not respect the brownie enough to follow his request. He did not want to be paid, and we paid him. And the grandmother finished telling that story, and the children said, Grandma, we want a brownie. Can we bring the brownie back? And she said, that brownie won't come back, but you might be able to bring some other brownies to our house. And they said, Grandma, how could we do that? She said, there's an owl, a very old owl, that lives in the tree by our well. If you go out at night when the moon is full and see the owl will tell you how you can bring a brownie to our home. Now, when the children heard this, they were so excited. And that night, they looked outside their window and saw that the moon was full. And they said, let's go down to the well. So Annabelle, Bonnie, and Drew crept outside and walked down to the well. And there on the big tree sat a white owl. And the owl said, hoo, 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 hoo. They said, Owl, we want to have a brownie come and live in our house and help us with our chores. Can you help us get a brownie? And the owl looked at them and said, hoo, 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 hoo. Yes. The owl fluttered down and landed on the well edge. And the owl said, this is what you must do if you want a brownie or 2 or 3 in your home. You must say this poem and then look in the well. And she said, you must say it one at a time. Annabelle said, I will go first. And the owl said, you must say, come brownie, come elf, I look in the well and I see, and then you must say who you see in the well. Bonnie was so delighted. She said, I'll do it. And she said, come brownie, come elf, I look in the well and I see. When she looked in, she saw her reflection and said, I see myself. And the owl said, hoo hoo, you are a brownie. And Annabelle was so happy. And Bonnie said, let me try. And Bonnie said, come brownie, come elf. I look in the well and I see myself. I saw myself. And the owl said, hoo hoo, hoo hoo, you are a brownie too. And little Drew said, I want to turn. Annabelle had to pick him up because he was too short to look over the well. And he said, come brownie, come elf. I look in the well and I see myself. And the owl said, hoo hoo, hoo hoo, you are a brownie too. And the children were delighted. And the owl said, now listen, children, if you really are elves, if you really are brownies that are elves, you must work in secret. You must go home and go to sleep. Then wake up before your parents and before your grandma and clean the house. You must bring in the firewood and bring in the water. You must sweep and polish and put everything away. And then hurry back to bed before they see you. Because a brownie doesn't like to be paid and a brownie doesn't like to be seen. The children were so excited they hurried home. They went to bed. And just before dawn, just before the sun rose, Annabelle woke her brother and sister and said, come on, let's go be brownies. They hurried downstairs and they put everything away. They put away their toys and their clothes. They went out to get the wood and they stacked it by the fireplace. They brought in water from the well. They put bowls on the table because they had oatmeal for their breakfast too. They put everything ready, then they hurried back to bed and they listened. When their parents woke up and their grandmother woke up and came downstairs, they all exclaimed, oh, look at the house, it's clean. We must have brownies in our house. And the children giggled with delight. They came downstairs and their parents and grandmother said, look at the house, we have brownies. And from then on, all three of those children were good to their word. They were wonderful brownies and they helped and they became so happy because they realized that they were so needed. And there be my story, be it bitter or sweet, take what you like, but leave enough for me to eat. Very nice. Now I wonder what you thought about that story. I wonder if you were able to imagine what that little brownie looked like, the one that came to the village and said he didn't want any pay. I wonder what he looked like. And I wonder if you would like to be a brownie too. When I was a little girl, we had the Girl Guides and the Girl Scouts, and part of that was the brownies. And you could be a real brownie. And it was very fun. I got to be a brownie and I got to help my family. I remember how excited I was to be able to do things in secret and to clean the house and then to have my mother and my father say, oh, there must be a brownie. So I wonder if you would like to try that too. That's our story for today, and I hope to see you next time. Let's sing our goodbye song. So long, bye-bye to you. So long, bye-bye to you. So long, bye-bye to you. So long, peace be with you. See you next time for another story.